So the new God of War trailer just launched. As you may know, I'm a big fan of the God of War series. I have a video on why I think God of War 2018 is the best game ever made, and part of that is due to the music, and I am extremely biased, so keep that in mind as you watch this video. Disclaimer, if you're looking for anything lore-wise or speculation from myth on the story or what it could be about, I'm not here to give that to you, because I am not an expert on Norse mythology. I barely know anything about it, so I'm not going to be able to provide any insights on that. What I am going to do is provide insights from game design. So one thing I'm really excited about from this trailer is that we seem to be pivoting from the theme of patricide in the original God of War series into father-son conflict, right? At the end of God of War 2018, we had a little hint when Kratos saw himself being sacrificed or dying, and Loki was there, or Atreus, whichever you want to call him. So there are still different interpretations of that scene. It is open to interpretation, for sure. I think that that was Loki killing Kratos, or Loki being the cause of Kratos' death. So I still think we will have patricide. I think Loki will cause Kratos' death in some way or another. I don't know if we'll see that in this game, or if it'll be in a future game. I do suspect that we could see it in this game. They start off with Atreus hiding a secret from Kratos. I'm going to use Loki and Atreus interchangeably in this video. So he's hiding a secret from Kratos, which is interesting because in the previous game, we had Kratos hiding secrets from Atreus. I think this is really, really cool. I think Cory Barlog has the perfect approach for this game. I think he knows how to make sequels. Even though this is only the second game he's creative director over. And I assume he's still creative director, because you'd have to be insane to put somebody else in charge of creative direction when Cory Barlog made God of War 2018 so good. But Cory Barlog understands how to make a sequel. It would have been tempting for them to keep everything kind of the same. And that's what people were afraid of, is that God of War Ragnarok was not going to live up to God of War 2018. I even said that in my video. I don't think that it could hold up. But I'm a lot more confident now, because just from what we have from the trailer, which I think is a really good trailer, they didn't reveal anything, okay? But what they did indicate is that we have this role reversal between Loki and Kratos compared to what we had between Atreus and Kratos, right? Kratos was keeping his past from Atreus to protect Atreus. Now, Loki seems to be hiding secrets from Kratos in order to protect Kratos, right? So I think it's obvious that we're still going to be playing as Kratos. It would be crazy to have Kratos be the companion, so I don't think there's any chance of that. But we are going to be playing as Kratos, with Atreus, Loki keeping a secret from us, the player, right? So the player is going to be having the story revealed to them throughout in a very unique way, where usually, like when you're watching a TV show or a movie, it's the characters that are clueless, right? And the viewers tend to know a lot more, right? They see what's going on, right? And obviously there's twists and things like that and things that you don't see coming, but you tend to know more than the characters as a viewer, right? In this game, I think that we are going to know next to nothing until Loki reveals it to us. And just saying that sentence out loud makes me so excited. Because, I mean, let's take the more traditional Loki, right? This deceiver, this mischievous. Can you imagine playing through a game where actual Loki is keeping secrets from you, and you have no idea what's going to happen? You don't know if they're going to betray you, right? I don't know if they're going to lean that heavily into Loki with Atreus, right? And in fact, they may only use the name Loki to represent that Atreus is this catalyst. He is the instigator of events, the reason for which things happen, and he's a shapeshifter, obviously. That's another thing. I really hope we're going to see him shapeshift in the game, because obviously they hinted at that with his arrow abilities in the last game, and Loki of Norse mythology can shapeshift as far as I'm aware. So it'd be really interesting to see Atreus actually becoming the animals instead of shooting an arrow and becoming the animals, right? And it'll be really fascinating to see if that is used, how that'll change the combat. Because that's another thing. I thought that the combat was going to be the same, right? And some of it does seem the same with the axe and the shield, right? We did see a little bit of gameplay or a little bit of combat gameplay where Kratos was using his shield and axe. But then there's also another part of the trailer where he puts down his blades and his axe. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to mean, right? But I was afraid that they were going to make the combat too similar, right? Because that's what most companies would do. I mean, think about EA, Ubisoft, and even Bethesda, you know, the reason I fear Elder Scrolls 6, which I should make a video about. Companies just tend to do what worked, right? But they're not doing what worked here, except that they have the tension still between father and son, right? The father-son dynamic. That's the thing that really worked in God of War 2018 that they are keeping in God of War Ragnarok. But it seems like pretty much everything else, the level design, world design, even the enemy design, and then especially the story, they are completely flipping around, completely changing the dynamic, and I think for those reasons it's going to be a really, really, really fresh take, just like God of War 2018 was for the rest of the franchise, right? Now, one thing that worries me, and maybe worry is a bit of a strong word, but they used the main God of War theme, but like slowed down / broken up from God of War 2018 in this trailer. I don't think that's that big of a deal, because that doesn't mean that they're going to copy all the rest of the music over, and it certainly wouldn't make any sense if they, for example, brought over Mother's theme, Farewell to Mother, or the Witch's theme. What is that called? The Witch in the Woods, or the Witch's theme? Something like that. Now, the other aspect of this is that we see who I assume is Tyr, the Norse god of war, you know, kind of the pathetic thin man that asks Kratos, what are you looking for? Is it the god of war you're seeking? You know, yada yada. That's going to be a really interesting character, because I see him maybe tagging along in a lot of places. He might kind of take the place almost of Mimir, which I think would be really, really interesting. But I also don't think he's going to be there for as much of the game as Mimir was, because obviously Mimir was just on Kratos' belt the entire time, right? Now, the disembodied voice, I see people thinking that that could be Odin, or that could be Freya, or it could be Athena, and I think those would all be interesting options. Just kind of taunting Kratos and saying, you know, you don't know what it means to be a god. No one's ever worshipped you. I don't know what that means, but it could mean a couple of different directions. One of which is that we could maybe see Kratos driven insane by these god voices in his head, right? And maybe Kratos actually does end up seeking godhood. And that would take a lot of work to pull off, because if he just flipped and just all of a sudden wanted to be a god and worshipped, that would make no sense for the character. Like, absolutely 0 sense. It would be a total betrayal of the God of War franchise. They could do it slowly, though, I think. I think if they did it slowly and they showed Kratos' mind breaking, we see a little bit of Kratos going insane when, you know, he's just unquestionably following the boy, you know, and Loki's like, you don't believe in what I'm telling you. You don't believe me. You don't trust me. But Kratos is like, I'm following you anyway, right? And he wants to protect Loki. So maybe there could be a scenario where he sells his soul to another god to protect Loki. And maybe Loki ends up having to kill him because of that. Maybe that's a third game. Who knows? Besides that, I'm super excited to see the wolves. I hope that scene is not too far into the game, and that's kind of maybe a midpoint or before the midpoint, where Loki shoots the sun, and we have one of the wolves. I don't know if it's Skull or Hati that chases the sun, but one of them goes and chases the sun, right? And the other one howls. So yeah, there's some interesting themes there. And obviously that's like Loki being another catalyst, right? Loki shooting the sun, causing the sun to go down, speed up, go away forever, whatever it is, right? It could be a blotting out the sun scenario for whatever reason, you know, like blotting out the sun in Skyrim, right? But yeah, other than that, on any other aspect of game design, like the level design, the world design, the animation, the combat flow, combat design, I think all of that, from the little we saw, looks good. It looks about the same as it was in God of War 2018, and ultimately, I trust the SMS team to make that all perfect, just like they did in God of War 2018. I trust them to make it absolutely perfect, right? And hopefully they don't betray that trust like other companies have done, like Ubisoft and Bethesda and companies like that. The number of AAA game companies that I trust, truly trust, to do the right thing, make good video games, that number is dwindling, right? Every year, that number goes down and down and down. It's basically down to a handful of Sony Studios, Team Ninja, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica Studios. So I truly do have a lot of hope for this game. I have really high expectations, as I'm sure everyone else does. The trailer did not let any of those expectations down. I am more hyped than I've ever been for God of War Ragnarok. And yeah, I just can't wait to play along with older Loki as the companion. Maybe see some shape-shifting, see some more god killing. We'll see how much of that there actually is in this game. Obviously, they were calling Kratos a mindless murder machine, you know, killing without thought. So that's also an interesting aspect of this, where it could be sort of a thing where maybe we end up rooting for some of the gods, right? Maybe there are some of the Norse gods who actually are still benevolent, and they see Kratos just refusing to believe that a good god could exist, right? Maybe they recruit Loki. Maybe that's how Loki ends up being in opposition to Kratos. Who knows? Obviously, they were helping Skull and Hati, so yeah, that creates very interesting alliances, interesting rivalries, interesting opposition, and also I can't wait to see how Freya is going to play into this game. So obviously at the end of the last one, she couldn't stand the sight of Kratos and Atreus after they killed Baldur. Yeah, obviously we see that scene of Freya taking the mistletoe off of Atreus' neck and looking at it. So yeah, fascinating trailer, and I am super hype. And I think God of War Ragnarok is going to live up to the expectations set by God of War 2018. I think it's got a high chance of being an even better game. So yeah, I'll make more videos on God of War Ragnarok as we learn more. Maybe we won't learn any more until the game comes out, and I am totally fine with that. If you like this video, please consider showing me any support you can. I'm gonna stream God of War Ragnarok on my Twitch channel as soon as it comes out, so you can absolutely follow me there. And definitely go check out my original video on God of War 2018 and why it is absolutely the best game of all time and an absolute masterpiece.